Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. I often say we have really interesting guests here on the show, but man, you are in for a treat today. This is interesting times MC squared. Mr. Chris Green from Authorpreneur is here. Chris, welcome to the show.
David, thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is going to be fun and interesting. And I don't mean to sound like overly confident, but I've done this long enough that I'm aware that I'm good enough at a lot of different things in a way to bring them together, often in new ways that really help people and spark their imagination and make new connections. And it's a weird skill to have, but it's a fun one to see in action.
And that is exactly why I said, you're like the Dos Equis guy, like the most interesting man in the world who combines all these ideas around marketing and sales and authorship and information marketing. So before we get into all that good stuff, give us just a quick snapshot of the Chris Green story. What was the journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today? And what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
So where I ended up today was certainly not intentional. And, I think back on that a lot. Like, what am I doing here? Like, how did I get to this point? And a lot of the things that I did along the way were just things that I thought were interesting, things that I thought would be fun, like, it'd be cool if we try it. But it also came from, if I look back far enough, I grew up very poor. So it was like we were always looking for ways to make money. Like back when the kids actually delivered newspapers, and before you were 16, you could mow grass or something. There weren't a lot of options. This is all pre-internet. So I always kind of had that hey, can we make some money with this? What can we do over here? Can we resell this? Can we flip this? If we move this from one market to another, is there a better use for this? And it was after I graduated from college, I worked for a power tool company, and I got into selling on eBay because I was buying up all this clearance stuff from Home Depot. It was a big expansion. They were terrible at inventory management. They were aggressive with their clearance prices. I was like, for Pete's sakes, I'll just buy this stuff and sell it on eBay, just because it was almost like a challenge. Nobody thought I could do it. Became a big eBay seller. Amazon's marketplace opened up. Became a big Amazon seller. The FBA program came out, Fulfillment by Amazon. I was one of the first FBA sellers. That blew up. I was like, this is easy. This is and I was just so confident in what you could do with online selling. We made the first FBA software because there wasn't any. It was just for me. Then we decided this would be cool. Why don't we let other people use it? So then we became a software as a service company. Again, all unintentional. Just well, I still have my regular job and I'm still doing this other stuff. So finally quit, do this full time, write my first book, which was, I call a self-defense book. It was all about the most common questions for Fulfillment by Amazon and selling online. It was just going to be this PDF. If you have these questions, please just read this because I've answered them 1,000 times already. And I was stumbled onto self-publishing. I uploaded my book. Now everybody's treating me like I'm hot stuff. I'm getting invited to keynote events. And I'm I'm just a regular guy, right? But that's when published author status first hit me. Wait a minute, everybody's treating me special. And then I was a little doomer on it, where I was oh, now everybody's going to publish a book and everybody's going to be special and it's going to rub off, right? So it's not going to be as cool. Completely wrong. Here we are. It was 2011. 2024 now is just as powerful, if not more powerful today. So I got into some other Amazon platforms, and I kind of came back to self-publishing because with my Amazon sales background, my prime buyer background, understanding all those dynamics. When you look at self-publishing, specifically KDP on Amazon, they give you a physical product for sale internationally on the world's largest, most trusted marketplace with generally free returns and trusted reviews. A physical product, right? And I'm coming from a background of you have to source physical products and pay for inventory and hope that it sells and store it somewhere and deal with returns. And now you get all of that for free. And when someone buys your book, Amazon will print it and ship it to the customer, and you do no work and you get money and you get elevated author status and you can use it for lead magnets and you can have a low price book and a high price book. I had a $300 book hit the top 1,000 sales on Amazon. Overall, not category, overall 1,000. I still think that's ridiculous. That should not be happening. But, you got social media on one side of it, and now you have kind of a monetization vehicle on the other side of it that is free, that is easy, that is trusted, that leads into all kinds of other things. You can do information marketing to get people to go buy your physical book. And then they're like, wow, this guy literally wrote the book. He must be really smart. Let me call this company and let me work together. it's one of those too good to be true kind of business models. And I literally fell into it from an eBay to an Amazon to a software as a service to an author to like understanding print on demand. And then just kind of looking back and be like, where's the biggest opportunity? Hands down, as an author, self-publishing, KDP. Second isn't even close. First is self-publishing. If you want to make money on the internet, if you want to establish credibility, if you want to leverage it in your business, self-publishing is by far the way to go.
So much to dig into there, but I want to take a pit stop because everyone's head did that little tilt. It was the Scooby-Doo. When Chris said, I have a $300 book, and he does, in fact, have a $300 book. It is a 450-some page monster. The positioning of this book is very unique. I'm not going to spoil the surprise because I want to hear it from you, Chris. How the hell do you put a $300 business book out there that hits the top 1,000 on Amazon?
It's really just like connecting two little dots, right? Because I'd already published a regular book, like a low price book, a $9.95 book. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a course. So my first book was called Retail Arbitrage. I kind of rebranded it as just Arbitrage. And then in 2014, this is 3 years after I published my first book, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a course about online arbitrage, which is the idea of buying products online, receiving them, turning them back around and selling them generally on Amazon for a higher price. And of course, you keep the difference. And I was like, you know what? I'd made online courses before. And I was like, wait a minute. I could provide access to the online course content through the pages of a book. Like I could have unlisted YouTube videos. I could have password protected Vimeo videos. I could have the only place you can find these PDFs is going to be in this book that you can buy on Amazon. And I'm thinking, people love physical products. I don't get excited about a PDF download. I don't put my email address in to get your free ebook. But physical book, you're going to ship me something? Yeah, I'm interested. Like there's a little bit more commitment in there. And it made me think, I could totally put this course in a book. It's broken down into segments. It's kind of like chapters. Every chapter has a video. Maybe they have 2 videos. This was 2014 with QR codes where I had to have a whole chapter explaining what a QR code is, how to download a QR code reading app because it was not built into the camera. I mean, COVID kind of like fast-tracked the U.S. adoption of QR codes. The worldwide, they were kind of generally used, but not the U.S. So it was all kind of in this book. And I had an active community that was marketing it too. And I call it kind of accidental marketing because I would finish a chapter. I would have a great example of something. I'd be like, hey guys, you're really going to like chapter 14. I just found this deal. I picked up 300 units. I paid $14 each. They're selling on Amazon for $38. After fees, I'm going to make this much money. And I recorded the whole thing on a screen share. And you're going to get that in chapter 14 when my book comes out. And like, I was just excited, right? This was not intentional marketing. That's why it's accidental. I was just excited to tell everybody what's coming. And everybody that wanted it. Like in hindsight, it's kind of obvious. Like, oh, I want that. Oh, I can learn how to make $12,000 on a single purchase. Yes, I'm interested in whatever this course is, whatever the price is. And I started polling people, like how much do you think a course like this would cost? And some people were like, oh, thousands of dollars and like $100. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put up there for $300. I've seen similar courses, and it's about making money. So it's like, you should get your money back. And then I launched the book for $300, and it went to top 1,000. I think it was like 891. It hit on Amazon in the first month. I love using that example for people who think like, oh, you can't make money with self-publishing. I mean, you can, but if you have a $10 book, a $15 book, it's going to be very difficult to make significant money if you're only making $2, $3, $4, $5 per book. You just have to sell way too many books. But you can add more value to the book. And that's like the light bulb moment I hope people can get out of this, is saying, wait a minute. Okay, they have my book. What do they get with my book? Do they get access to me? Like your book can include a 1-hour phone call with you. And that's what my first book did. It included a 1-hour, look, we'll sit down, we'll go through, we'll find some deals together. I'll help you make some money. You're like, that's a good deal. I get that. And I get this, and I get this. So what can you give them in terms of like digital downloads, unlisted video content, bonus access to a membership group? Just brainstorm and be like, what value can I give that adds more value to the book? And then say, look, if you want this, you get it off Amazon. It's $99. It's $200. KDP has recently capped the price of their book at $250, which I'm not a fan of, but I get it. Like it's very rare that a book is worth more than $250. But it used to be $3,000. You could price your book at $3,000 as a self-published book. And I never did that. They changed it before I put together I was going to include a ticket, like a VIP ticket to an event, if you buy this book off of Amazon. And basically now your payment processor is Amazon.
Yeah.
And you're going to get royalties instead of having to deal with Stripe and set up PayPal and all that stuff. And it's a little bit of an extra step, but once people see the value of that step, they're like, oh my gosh. I get it. Now, what can I do? What can I put in a book? And like, how can I move forward? Because it's an asset in your business. It's not just like a pet project.
Hang on. Let's back up the truck. Beep, 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 beep. Listen, I have a brand new sales book out there. You got to get your hands on it. It is awesome. It is amazing. It is fantastic. It is useful, practical, actionable, and a ton of bonuses are waiting for you over at doitselling.com. Grab your copy right now and grab all the bonuses, goodies, companion tools, and downloads that go with the book. You'll love it. I guarantee it. So I'm channeling our listeners once again, and I want you to either please confirm or deny the following. Well, this was easy for Chris because Chris had a gigantic email list. He had a gigantic platform. He had, tens of thousands of subscribers when he launched this. I'm just Joey Numbnuts sitting here in Hackensack, New Jersey. I can't do what Chris is doing as far as the online stuff, the arbitrage, the $300 book. So talk about the evolution of your platform and your email list and your following. Do you have to get to a certain point before any of this makes financial sense?
Well, Joey is completely right? So I don't want Joey to be like, oh, this is not possible. Like, no, for Joey right now, who has not put himself online and has not given value to anybody and has not joined any communities and established himself as an expert. No, it won't work at all. You can't just like say for the first time on social media, hey, I have a $300 book. Who wants to buy it? Like, no one's going to say no because no one's even going to say anything.
Right. All right. So perfect. So walk us through kind of the Chris evolution of how big your email list was, how sophisticated your online marketing was at some of these key points.
Well, I want people to be encouraged that like this is not a master plan and you have to execute all these different KPIs and all this fancy stuff. And if you don't know I didn't know what that meant for a long time either. I mean, if someone doesn't know what it is, they can go Google it because it doesn't matter. I had 0 email list at the time. And I had made the mistake of not collecting emails along the way, even though some people were telling me you should build an email list. I was like, no, man, look, I post on social media. Everybody sees it because I'm the best. And that's what I thought. And I had this false sense of not just superiority, but like I was getting so much reach on social media because I was first. So in hindsight, I had first mover advantage. And I didn't realize that. I just thought it was like, oh, Facebook thinks that all my content's the best. They're going to show it to everybody. And of course, it is the best. And that's why everybody likes it. And we were just early. So we had like the first FBA Facebook group and, everybody joined it and that's where everybody was talking. So if I posted as like, whoa, Chris Green, the author, he's posting, I did get a lot of engagement. I got disproportionate amount of engagement. Wow. I was fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time. If I was going back and doing it again, I would be very intentional. And this is one of like the newer books that I'm trying to put together for self-published authors. It's kind of like the bestseller launch plan. Like, what do you need to do if you're starting from scratch? Because it's really not hard, but it takes time. And that's the thing that everybody wants to fast track. They're like, how do I do this quickly? How do I make money? I'm like, if there was a system where you could make $1 million in 30 days, like literally everybody would do it. They would just willpower their way through 30 days and they'd have $1 million. But it doesn't work that way. I would make the case that you can make a significant impact in 30 days if you have the time to commit to it. And I always forget to go back to this. You have to actually be good at something. This isn't for, Joey Numbnuts who doesn't know how to sell on Amazon and he thinks he's going to write a book about selling on Amazon because he's just going to like use ChatGPT and he's going to like, no, that won't work. I promise that won't work.
I'm so glad you said that.
I always forget to go back to that because like it is simple, but you have, and I also coach people in the sense of like helping them like figure out what they are good at and giving them that confidence to be like, oh, you're right, I am good at that. And then I give them the permission to actually move forward, which sounds weird, but that's honestly what I sell is confidence and permission. And then they're off to the races and they're like, oh my gosh, I talked to Chris Green and he got me on the right track. Because that's really all it is. People don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And then they don't realize, wait a minute, I really can publish and it's not going to cost me anything. And I have a physical product on Amazon and when it sells, I don't do any work and I get paid. Yes, I've been screaming that on social media for the past 15 years to anybody that will listen. But because it sounds too good to be true, people are like, oh, yeah, well, that's easy for you to say. You've done this for so long. I was like, part of me wants to like just start fresh and do like an anonymous account and just kind of prove it. But like, I'm probably just not going to do that because like, I don't have to. But I would write down the steps of how to start if you're starting fresh and like what a value ladder is, like explaining some of the psychology behind buyers. Yeah. Because buyers are not going to buy $300 product from anybody the first time they see your ad. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, doesn't matter how good the product is. they're not going to buy it. I think it's like 7 times is where like it significantly goes higher to where they might actually consider buying if they have interacted with you 7 times. But there is, I would say there is a system that can be done if you're intentional about it. You can spend enough time on it to where you can build enough of an audience to launch a book to bestseller status, which can then be leveraged into whatever else you want to do, whether it's a higher priced book, a course, a membership, consulting. Like that's the thing. Not everybody wants to be a consultant. Not everybody wants to run a membership. Like,
right.
So without knowing more about what Joey wants to do, you have to kind of cater the thing to him, but he has to be willing to say, yes, I am willing. And here's the thing. This is to you, Joey. You have to be willing to say, I am willing to work for myself for hundreds of hours, potentially for $0 an hour for this incredible potential upside. And the potential downside is I worked for myself for $0 an hour for hundreds of hours. I learned something. That's the downside. That's not much of a downside for the incredible upside of being a published author, passive income coming in, like all this other stuff. Too many Joeys out there won't work for themselves for $0 an hour. And that's what kind of separates the people that move forward and don't. Like the people who enjoy going home and saying, I'm going to research self-publishing. And they want to do it instead of like, oh, this is going to be a chore, and they're not into it and they're not going to stick with it. If people can see that potential upside and understand the downside is just really not really there, then hopefully they can get motivated to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And guess what? Your first book is going to be the worst book you ever write, but you got to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can take it down later, or you can write another book. Your book can be 12 pages long. 12 pieces of paper is the minimum for a KDP book right now. It's a pamphlet, right? But it exists, and you'll understand the process, and you'll be in the 0.01% that have actually published anything.
Yeah.
And you can use that as momentum to keep going and saying, oh, I understand this now. That wasn't that hard. Oh, I see how I could make my book longer. Yeah. And put yourself out there. And if you have naysayers, like, kick them out of your life, because there's just too many upsides to moving forward on something like this.
Totally. I want to get to something else that you are masterful at, and I'd love you to break down this process about the challenges that you do. So talk about the self-publishing challenge, talk about kind of how you put together the whole challenge structure, what you teach your clients about challenges. Take us behind the scenes there.
Yeah, so challenges are one of the best ways to probably do 2 different things. One, take somebody who's taking the challenge, a customer, through some kind of transformative process. So by the end of the challenge, you will have learned X, you will have this result, you will have this project completed, whatever it is. And then if you're the one who takes them through that, they're going to be like, yes, Chris Green is my guy. Like I knew this was possible, but I didn't know the last steps. I went through his challenge. I was able to complete the challenge. And now I know so much more. I have so much more confidence, and they're going to attribute that to you. And that's like the second part of it, is you're able to connect with people at scale. Isn't really the right word, but if you spend 5 days with somebody, an hour to an hour and a half each day, going through a 5-step process to publish a book or to upload print-on-demand merchandise or to run your first Facebook ad campaign, they're going to be connected with you. Like you're one-on-one in a sense. You're using Zoom, you're doing group coaching, but I can see everybody that's in the room, and I can say, hey, Steve, hey, Joey, I'm glad you're here, man. And they're like, oh, Chris Green just said my name, right? And it sounds silly, but if you're the host of something, especially if you're a published author host, people will look up to you with a little bit of a celebrity status. Yeah. Now, not like full A-list kind of stuff, but I'm aware that people will look up to me in my space just the same way I look up to other people in their space. I'm like, oh my gosh, Gary Vee said my name on his live stream. Like, he's done that multiple times, and I still remember every single time because he's someone that I look up to, I follow, he has like celebrity status. But I know he's just a guy, just like I'm just a guy and you're just a guy.
Yeah.
So if you're able to connect with people to where they come to know, like, and trust you, then by the end of the challenge, it's like, hey, if you got everything you need from the challenge, great. Hit me up if you need something. If you want more, we have a new membership opening up. We have a consulting package. And it's just one more way for people to say, yes, I know enough about this guy. I want to learn more. And the 80-20 rule is just going to fall on top of everything. But I think if people can realize what they're good at and say, wait a minute, if someone has questions about this topic, I could walk them through this topic in 3 days, 5 days, whatever, span of time.
Yeah.
And say, look, I'm going to do a challenge around this. Like the podcasting challenge, like setting up, what do you need to set up your own podcast? The $500, like you can make multiple equipment. Look, if your budget is $100, this is what you should buy. If your budget is $500, if you have an unlimited budget, this is what you should buy. and you go through each step with everybody who wants to learn how to start a podcast, 20% of those people are probably going to buy whatever comes next. And the secret is remembering that out of that 20 is an 80-20. If you have 100 people join your challenge, 20 of them join your membership, those 20 people, there's going to be 20% of those. So 4 people that want whatever else is next. They want your coaching. They want your one-on-one offer, whatever it is. And if you get enough people coming in, that 20 goes up and up and up until you have like your highest offer, which is your highest value. So I will fly to you and set up your podcasting studio for $18,000. You put a price on it, whatever it's worth, like take that much time out of your day and actually go and do hands-on stuff. That person is out there who's going to say, you know what? David's my guy. He's my guy. I want to work with him.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those offers out there, then nobody can buy them. But it all kind of starts. And again, you can start with having your published book as your free lead magnet or opt-in to join your challenge. Then they get to know you in the challenge, and you can run the challenge over and over and over again. Once it's recorded, you can offer it as a bonus. Hey, pick up my book on Amazon. I love your rebate. You have what I call it a rebate funnel. So buy the book on Amazon, which is what people want to do. And then just put in your Amazon order ID over here, and I'll give you all these bonuses. The bonuses can be you get the replay of our 5-day podcast setup challenge or self-publishing challenge. And now you have this offer stack of bonuses where it's like, oh, for Pete's sakes, I got to get this book. And now they got the book and you've collected their email address, so you can go back and nurture them and keep them warm in your email list. We're talking about so many different things. So I know, like, if Joey is still out there, he hasn't hung up yet, he's going to be overwhelmed, right? He's going to be confused. He's going to be like, oh, he's said lead magnet like 3 times. I still don't know what that is.
Right.
Like, that's why you need to I'll write the book for you, Joey. Don't worry. But
baby steps.
It is a process. It is something that can be replicated. Yeah. And if you're good at something and you commit the time to it, I do believe that everybody has a 6-figure a year business model within them that can be run with zero inventory. It's all information and digital, as well as physical products on Amazon through the print-on-demand platforms. And you can run it from anywhere in the world. All you're doing is helping people by teaching them something that you know a lot about and you're really passionate about. And it almost seems like too good to be true. Like, right. I get to just talk about this stuff like all day. Like, yeah, if you set it up right.
And Chris, just last thing on the challenge. Challenges are paid challenges, free challenges. What have you experimented with that?
You could do both. And I would add in, like, between the paid challenges, you can have a low price point challenge as well as a high price point challenge. It kind of depends on the type of challenge, what you're trying to do. Like, I know, like, a friend of mine does like a triathlon challenge. That would be more a higher price, right? Yeah. Because it's very specialized versus someone who just wants to, I'll teach you how to make money on the internet kind of thing.
Right.
I would do low price. There's a lot of science behind price. And if it's free, people aren't going to take it serious. Like, right. You so almost do them a favor.
Skin in the game.
Yeah, even if it's just $1, right? Yeah. If it's $1, now you've separated the people who are refusing to get their credit card out and the people who at least will get that out. Yeah. And I say you do them a favor by charging them $7 because now they're going to show up. And you want them to show up because you want them to get the value that you're trying to give them. If they don't want the value, they shouldn't sign up at all.
Right.
But if it's free, they're going to be like, oh, that's in like 5 minutes. Nah, forget it. I'll get the next one. And like,
right. Well, another thing that you are famous for in your portfolio of, I'm thinking of the movie Taken. It's like, I have a very particular set of skills.
Right? I do. Yeah.
The Liam Neeson line. So
I put that on paper.
Among your particular set of skills, talk about flips. So we already talked about sort of online arbitrage, right? Buy low, sell high, etc. Talk about flips and flipping and what that's all about.
Anyone can flip. And that comes from like a history of, teaching people eBay and teaching people Amazon and teaching people print-on-demand merchandise and then teaching people like self-publishing, which I've done self-publishing for so long. It's just back of my hand, easy, right? Yeah. But I get it. If someone, I'm working with people right now, this is the first time going through it, and they're asking all these questions, and they're nervous, and they're concerned, and like, what about this deadline? I'm like, for Pete's sakes, trust me, I've done this for over a decade. I've published dozens of books. You're fine. Please just relax. And I get that, they don't know, and once they publish one, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah.
However, for someone who maybe they're not ready to publish, publishing is my favorite. But if someone, when I say someone's not good at anything, I'm not trying to like insult them. Right. But there might be someone, and there's a lot of people out there who are not good enough at anything specific that it would make a lot of sense to write a book about yet. And I want people to always remember that, to say, look, I'm not good enough yet.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can get better. You can get really good at something in less than a year. Right. Yeah. At least good enough to like help people who don't know anything about the topic. So if that's the journey they're on, say, look, I'm really working on this because I want to do this higher level thing that Chris Green talks about, but I need to make some money right now. I'm like, well, anyone can flip products. Anyone can go to thrift stores, yard sales, estate sales. If you don't know where they are in your area, you can Google it. Okay, like no nonsense excuses of like, oh, I don't know how to find estate sales in my area. I don't believe you, right? It's 2024. That's a fake question. You're not being serious. You can Google it, right? It's estatesales.net, right? It's like, you can Google it. But because we all have a phone, have you ever used Google Lens?
I have not. I know what it is, but I've never used it because I'm not big into the shopping, thrift store, eBay world.
But you can use it for anything, right? Yeah. Like you could pause your television and take a picture of somebody's outfit, and Google Lens will tell you exactly where you can buy that, right?
Wow.
So like a scary good degree. And it's been out for a long time. It's gotten really, really good. So between having the eBay app, having Google, having barcode scanning apps, eBay has one of the best barcode scanning apps. So if you can scan a barcode, it's going to bring up that product in eBay. You can see sold listings. You can do the math on how many are listed versus how many have sold over the past 90 days to get a sell-through rate. But you can identify anything, whether it's by keywords, whether it's by UPC, or whether it's by Google Lens. And I would encourage you after the show, use Google Lens just on the books behind you. And then in a split second, Google is going to tell you exactly what that is and where you can buy it and what it's worth. That's why I'm like, dude, anybody can flip stuff. Anybody can find these Facebook Marketplace, for Pete's sakes. People are like just giving stuff away. You can just take a screenshot, then go to Google Lens and pull up your screenshot, and it'll tell you exactly what it is and how much it's worth, links to eBay. So that's look, anybody can do this. So I try to get people to stop with the excuses. I'm saying, oh, I don't know how to make money on the internet, or I'm not this. I'm like, you can't tell me. You can't take a smartphone to a thrift store and look up some things that you think look like they might have some value, and then sell them on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist, on eBay. And if you're not willing to do that, then I don't have anything lower on the make money totem pole for you.
Yes, I know. Terrific episode here, but have you seen our latest web training? Oh my goodness, pop over there right now, or as soon as you're done listening to this episode, it's doitmarketing.com/webinar. See you over there. Back to the good stuff. Well, I think you do, though. I think you do, because we can even flip electrons. So I have like 550 domains. I have a domain buying problem. I got a problem. If anyone has a 12-step program for domains, please send it my way. Talk about domain flipping, because that's another thing that you teach people.
I don't actively teach it because I've learned my lesson of if you try to be too many things, then people are like, what are you kind of thing? So my focus is definitely on Authorpreneur, self-publishing, marketing, and all that stuff. But I part of what I do teach, like a little more in depth, is if someone's publishing a book and they want to use a lead magnet, like I do think you have to have a good domain, at least have a domain instead of just using, generic, and just like, if you're not, I don't know, like invest $10 in your business and get a good domain. And I still think there are good domains out there, depending on what kind of domain you're looking for, especially if it's around a book. You put book at the end of stuff, more likely it's going to still be available. But I teach people how to look up expired domains and how to buy domains off of expired auctions. And all that stuff is just out there. Expireddomains.net, auctions.godaddy.com. And you can just see what's out there. And I find that there are a lot of opportunities out there. I am not a sit and kind of like squat and hope someone wants the domain. I register domains, like I say, I got 250 of them, of things that, okay, there's a plan behind that. I'm going to use that for this at some point. There's always a little bit of that, like, oh, even if it's just like a standalone business just on this thing right here. So everyone always has a reason for it, but it is possible to get some really good domains, even ones that you intend to flip. If you know what to look for and you stay on top of things, like which extensions are generally valuable, I would say, and tell me if you agree with this, .com, number one for the foreseeable future. I'm on .net, depending on how good the name is. I do like .co, I like .io, I like .ai. Those are the main ones. After those, you have to give me a really good reason to use an additional extension.
Yeah,
there's opportunities everywhere, but it is the flip, right? It's flipping products from estate sales. It's flipping digital products like domains. It's flipping your knowledge. We have to turn your knowledge into a product and then market it, and you're able to help people that way. But it's an attention game. My kids are figuring this out right now. They've started an Instagram account where they're selling a product. It costs them about $18 to make. They're selling it for $50 on Etsy. And they're like, why aren't we getting any sales? I'm like, because you don't have any attention. Like, no one knows you're here. And they're realizing, wait a minute, this is a 1% product game and a 99% marketing game. And I'm like, yeah. They just they overhear me saying it. They didn't really understand it. But now they're seeing, wait a minute, we do have a good product. And they sell it well in person. When people see it and they show them, they're like, this, yeah, I want one. Here's some cash. But they've got to get, some attention up, especially on Instagram. And they're slowly getting there, and they got their first sale. They're getting excited. And it's fun to watch that process, because it's the same process. If you have attention, you have opportunities. If you don't have attention, sorry, I don't care how good your product is, how cheap your book is. It doesn't matter. No attention, no sales.
So you may have an opinion on this, and I don't know if there's a single answer, because I know it depends on your demographic and what you're selling and who you're selling it to. If you were to double down on one platform, is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be a blog? Is it going to be SEO? What's that primary thing that you see as perhaps underpotentialized, where there's still some room to be heard? If you're good.
That's a tough one, because it does depend on like the type of product. Like, if your product is very visual, obviously like Instagram is where you want to take pictures. If you need to connect in like more long form content, YouTube is going to make more sense. I would say, and this is probably not an answer you expect, but just Amazon in general. And I generally like shy people away from Amazon in terms of as a landing page, because it's kind of the black hole of marketing, right? Like once they go to Amazon, you don't know if they bought anything. You don't know what happened.
Sure.
However, you can use your Amazon author page very strategically, which I find a lot of authors don't. You can connect all of your books to it. If you can get people to follow your author page, then when you publish a new book, they get an alert directly through the Amazon. They will send you an email, and as well as the Amazon app will say, hey, an author that you follow just published a new book. Yeah. And that's such a kind of a pattern interrupt type of push notification, because we generally don't get those. Like the Amazon app isn't generally telling me anything like that. It's like your product's here. That's it. Other than that, the Amazon app shuts up. I've got a guy who's publishing a book every single week this year, and he pops up once a week. This guy, he's published his book once a week. And here I am talking about it. Like, I remember that. Right? I don't know how many authors I follow, but I remember that guy.
Yeah.
And I think if you use Amazon strategically, and you'd have to use it with, in conjunction with social media, but to get people to leave those reviews and get people like to understand, wait a minute, this is the number one selling book in this category. This book is being recommended with these other top books. If you can get enough sales, and Amazon's algorithm starts kicking in that way. If you use like the A+ content in the description strategically, to where people are like, you can't really put calls to action in there, but you can, and hopefully this secret doesn't go out of style. You can put QR codes on the covers of your books on Amazon. That is completely within terms of service. So people go to Amazon and they can hold up their phone, do the product page, and now they're going to your landing page. But it's little things like that, because people trust Amazon. They go to Amazon first. I mean, I don't know if you sell your books direct at all, or if you're like, no, for Pete's sakes, please just go to Amazon.
Yeah, go to Amazon.
But we want to have a strategy to where if they go to Amazon, we still get them to come back to our website. And that's where the other part would be like to use your book, have a call to action early in the book. Don't put it at the end. Say, look, get this extra bonus, join my community, get 3 months free of this. And like probably the biggest secret, if Joey's still listening, if you're writing a book specifically like to build a brand and to grow an audience, make sure that you get value out of your book, even if you give it away. If you just give it away, whether it's the Kindle version or you're giving away paperbacks, 3+ shipping offers, whatever it is, to where people can find you, follow you, get on your email list, start booking calls. That's what I want to use a book for. Instead of like, oh, I sold 3 books today, I made $6.
Right.
Like, congratulations. I gave away 30 books and I got 12 new email subscribers and 4 new clients.
Right.
That's what I want people to get away from, because it's so much. It's like, I want to be a best-selling author. I want that big advance check. I want to cash that royalties. It's like, no, use the book strategically, and you can still cash those royalties by writing a higher price book that you would get people into through your lower priced book. There's so many ways to do it. And there are a lot of pieces, but it's a 2-step process. If you have all these pieces, the internet or I will help you identify which pieces you need, because you've got like 3 puzzles mixed in together. Right. Yeah. So let's get rid of the 2 puzzles that aren't even supposed to be here. These are the pieces that we need. All right. There's 6 pieces left. Great. But you don't know how to put them together. I will help you put them together. And now you got it. And I actually did this with like a little block puzzle as like a visual demonstration. And people got it. They were like, yes, I didn't know I needed those pieces. And 2, I didn't know how to put them together. And once you do that, it is really just kind of a simple formula. Like it's not something that only Chris Green can do, right? Or only David Newman can do. It's like anybody can do this. Your pieces might be a little different. They might go together a little different.
Well, let's do this. Let's give people the Puzzle Masters info. where can people go to get connected and stay connected to more Chris Green brilliance?
I got to go with two websites. chrisgreen.com is obviously like my home base, and the business that I'm working on that I'm committed to after doing so many different things. This is obviously the winner is Authorpreneur. If you go to authorpreneur.com, I will make a commitment to your audience to say, look, if you go to chrisgreen.com/free book, I will send you a free Kindle book. That might be one of my books. I'll have a list of books that I have available for free, Kindle versions too, not just some random PDF, Kindle versions. I've got Jeff Walker's Launch that I can give you. I've got some Gary Vee books I can give. I've got Russell Brunson books that I can give you, as well as my own books, full PDF versions, full retail price off of Amazon versions. Go to chrisgreen.com/free book. Pick which ones you want out of the ones that are available, and I will send you a free link, full download.
Wow. Amazing. Well, Chris Green, like I said, you are the most interesting man on the internet, or at least the most interesting man that I've had on this show. Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us. This was an amazing episode.
No, thanks for having me. We'll do it again sometime.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.